The air was bright with morning sunlight, casting long shadows across the quiet suburban street. Birds sang faintly, and the hum of approaching cars filled the air. Yet at the bus stop on that ordinary weekday, something cruel unfolded that would change the lives of everyone who witnessed it. A girl named Aveline, just 16, stood quietly with her crutches leaning against her arms, her leg braced in metal. She had grown used to whispers, stares, and the occasional mocking laughter, but nothing prepared her for what happened next. 3 boys from her high school, restless, smirking, eager to feed their egos, saw her waiting for the bus. Without hesitation, they extended a foot, tripping her as she stepped forward. Aveline fell hard onto the concrete, her books scattering like broken pieces of her spirit. Laughter erupted from the bullies, their jeers slicing the air, while strangers turned their heads away, unwilling to get involved. It was broad daylight, yet the cruelty felt darker than night. Before I take you further into this story of cruelty, courage, and unexpected justice, let me pause for a moment. If you believe in kindness, in standing up for the vulnerable, and in the power of second chances, then please take a second to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel Fearless Grace. Your support spreads stories of strength where they are needed most. Aveline's heart pounded as she scrambled to gather her books, her palms scraped raw, tears stinging her eyes. The boys laughed louder, one of them mocking the way her leg brace clanged against the pavement. No one intervened. Not the older woman with grocery bags. Not the businessman scrolling on his phone. Not even the bus driver who looked away as though this scene had nothing to do with him. Aveline felt a familiar weight pressing on her chest. The heavy, suffocating weight of invisibility. She wanted to disappear, to sink into the pavement, to escape the humiliation of being a target simply because her body wasn't like everyone else's. She had been born with a rare condition that weakened her left leg. Doctors said she was lucky to walk at all, but children at school never saw luck in her stride, only weakness. Every morning was a battle for courage, and every night she wondered if she'd have the strength to face another day. That morning, lying bruised and broken on the ground, while cruel laughter echoed above her, she wondered if maybe the world had already decided she didn't belong. But fate has a way of rewriting stories when you least expect it. From down the street, the low rumble of engines began to build. At first it was faint, like a distant storm, but then it grew louder, heavier, until the pavement itself seemed to vibrate. Heads turned, eyes widened. Around the corner rolled a sight no one at that bus stop would ever forget. Row after row of gleaming motorcycles, leather-clad riders with patches and chains, their faces shielded by dark helmets. They came not in 2s or 3s but in a thunderous wave, engines growling in perfect unison, a brotherhood of steel and defiance. 99 bikers, their presence overwhelming the street, their arrival impossible to ignore. The boys who had been laughing froze mid-sentence, their smirks evaporating as the roaring machines drew closer. Strangers at the bus stop straightened, gasping at the sudden invasion of power and solidarity. The riders slowed, engines purring as they surrounded the bus stop like guardians of justice. One biker, taller than the rest with a silver beard that glistened in the sunlight, dismounted and stepped forward. His heavy boots struck the ground with authority as he knelt beside Aveline, helping her gather her scattered books. His voice was deep but gentle when he spoke. "You all right, kid?" Aveline blinked, stunned, her heart racing. She nodded faintly, though her throat tightened with unshed tears. The biker placed her crutches carefully back in her hands, steadying her with a respect no one had offered her in a long time. Then he turned his gaze toward the bullies, who now stood pale and rigid, their bravado shattered. The leader didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. His words cut through the silence like a blade. What kind of man trips a girl who already struggles to stand? The boys fumbled for excuses, but their voices cracked. The other bikers revved their engines in unison, a deafening chorus that sent shivers through the crowd. Every sound seemed to say what the world had failed to before this cruelty would not go unanswered. What followed wasn't violence, it wasn't revenge, it was something deeper. The silver-bearded biker, whose name Aveline later learned was Magnus, made the boys pick up every single one of Aveline's books, dust them off, and hand them back with trembling hands. The bikers stood like a wall of justice behind him, their presence a reminder that strength can be used to protect, not just intimidate. "You owe her respect," Magnus said firmly. And if you don't have that in your heart yet, then maybe it's time you learn. For the first time, the boys lowered their heads, shame burning their faces. The crowd that had once been silent now watched with wide eyes, some even nodding, some clapping softly as if the street itself had found its voice. Aveline, though shaken, felt something shift inside her. For so long she had believed she was invisible, destined only to endure cruelty. But here, in the broad light of day, 99 strangers had shown her that she was worth defending, worth standing for, worth being seen. The bus finally arrived, its brakes hissing, but no one moved to get on. Everyone remained, caught in the moment, unwilling to break the spell. Magnus turned to Aveline, his expression softening. "We ride every Saturday through this town," he said. "From now on, when you wait for your bus, you won't wait alone. Not as long as we're around." Aveline's lips trembled. She had no words, only gratitude that swelled like sunlight in her chest. She managed a small smile, one that reached her eyes for the first time in months. And true to their word, the bikers kept their promise. Every morning for weeks, a few of them would ride alongside Aveline's bus stop, their presence a shield against cruelty. The bullies never returned, and word spread quickly through the school and community. People began to notice Aveline not as the girl with the brace, but as the girl the bikers protected. Teachers checked in on her. Classmates offered kindness. Slowly, painfully, the shadows of isolation began to lift, but perhaps the most powerful change happened inside Aveline herself. She began to walk with more confidence, her shoulders no longer bowed by shame. She joined art club, where she discovered her gift for painting. She painted scenes of sunlight breaking through storm clouds, of motorcycles roaring down open highways, of people who refused to stay silent in the face of cruelty. Her work spoke of resilience, of beauty born from pain. The story of the bus stop traveled far beyond her small town. Newspapers picked it up. Social media spread it like wildfire. People across the world commented, sharing their own stories of kindness and protection. Strangers wrote letters to Aveline, thanking her for being brave, for surviving, for inspiring them to face their own battles. And the bikers, they became her family. Magnus called her Little Phoenix, because she had risen from the ashes of cruelty with wings stronger than before. She often rode in the passenger seat of his motorcycle on weekends, the wind tangling her hair, the world rushing past as she laughed freely for the first time in years. Her scars never disappeared. The brace never left her leg, but she no longer wished they would vanish. They were part of her story, proof of her survival, of the cruelty she endured, and of the unexpected brotherhood that arrived to rewrite her fate. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that kindness has the power to change lives, then please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Fearless Grace, and share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Together we can spread more light in a world that desperately needs it. And before we close, I have one special request. Drop a comment below with the words, "Kindness rides with me," to show that you too stand against cruelty and choose compassion every time. Because sometimes all it takes to change a life is the courage of one voice and the thunder of 99 engines riding for what's right.